If you run a business and you own trademarks for your brand, your products, or your services, you're likely going to be affected by the hundreds of new top-level domains that will be coming available over the next few months and years. People will potentially register your trademark in hundreds of alternate top-level domains like .app or .shop. What do you do to protect your trademarks? We're going to find out on today's show. Stay tuned. I have 3 short sponsor messages before we get into today's show. First, if you're a domain name investor, you have unique intellectual property needs, and you need an IP attorney that understands them, that follows the industry, and can help you navigate UDRP, copyright, and trademark laws. David Westlow of Wiley Ryan is the lawyer to call for internet legal issues. Second, if you have a great domain name and nothing to show when people visit, you're missing out on potential advertising revenue, leads, and partnership opportunities. NicheWebsites.com can build your site quickly with a price option to suit any need. But as their tagline says, they don't just build websites, they build businesses. Finally, if you're buying or selling a domain name or a portfolio and you want an estimate of its value, Estimate.com is the place to go. Just like you'd visit Zillow.com to get an estimate of a house value, Estimate.com provides key information about the most important statistics so you can make an informed decision based on data. All 3 sponsors have a clickable banner in the upper right-hand corner of DomainSherpa.com. Here's your program. Hey everyone, my name is Michael Seiger and I'm the publisher of DomainSherpa.com, the website where you come to learn how to become a successful domain name investor and entrepreneur directly from the experts. If you run a business and you're worried about your intellectual property being used by others when new top-level domains are available, you're not alone. There are actions you can take now to protect your trademarks when the hundreds of new top-level domains like .app or .shop start to become available for registration. What can you do? That's the question we're going to answer today. Joining us to help us understand this issue is Jan Corstens, a partner at Deloitte Belgian office who leads a team of experts in contract risk and compliance services. Throughout the last 14 years, Jan has performed and managed multiple royalty and IP audits in software, hardware, and technology. And he's currently the project director for the Trademark Clearinghouse, an initiative that has been created to help brand owners protect their intellectual property with ICANN's new generic top-level domain program. Jan, welcome to the show.
Hello.
It's great to have you here. You're joining us from the Belgian office, is that correct?
Correct. I'm currently in Brussels, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. So I spewed off a lot of industry words to describe the Trademark Clearinghouse just now. Let's assume you're talking to one of your parents, or, better yet, my mom, who's,
Ouch.
early 80s. I shouldn't even say that. She's going to get mad at me now. You're talking to my mom who's on the internet. Let's say that she has a business, a small business, a local business. Let's say that she has a trademark. Can you explain, as if you were speaking to my mom, what the Trademark Clearinghouse is?
Yes, I can. So in order to do that and to keep it and to bring it first to that level, you can actually think of what the internet looks like right now. Right now, you have around 220 top-level domains, which they call country codes, gTLDs, anything with 2 characters behind the dot. .be for Belgium, .de for Germany, for instance. And next to that, you have a little over 20 what they call generic top-level domains. .com is the most known one. You have .net, you have .asia, you have .org, and a couple more. Now, the internet is going to massively change in the next couple of years because ICANN, the organization that manages the internet or that oversees the regulation on the internet and on the domain name industry, has decided together with the global community that they were going to give a lot of organizations an opportunity to get additional top-level domains, or even to get their own top-level domain in case of some brand owners. Now, what happened in the last couple of years that ICANN and the global community agreed on the procedure to do that it is implemented, and as a result of that, well, we can expect probably over 1,000 new ones. Now compare the 220 that you currently have with 1,000, well, yeah, the internet will be multiplied by 5, so to speak. Now, good, that's all great and well, but for some parties in the world, that is frightening, that was threatening. What happened in the past? In the past, specific trademark owners, and you can have multiple examples, Nike, Coca-Cola, whatever, whoever owns a trademark. Well, what did they do in the past? In the past, they tried to register as much of their trademarks in all of these top-level domains. And at a certain moment, they were allowed to do that before anyone else. They were allowed to participate in what they call a sunrise. A sunrise, a period being before wider availability, where anyone who wanted could register a domain name based upon their trademark. And then they had to they had to prove that they actually had that trademark, and somebody had to verify that. Well, in the past, those were called sunrises, and they were organized individually per top-level domain. And we as Deloitte, for instance, at the time, did the verification for .asia or for .tel and for a couple more. And we had to verify that the party that submitted that request for a domain name actually had a trademark that was equal to the domain name. Now, with more than 1,000 coming up, the global community, and again, especially the IP community and the governments of this world, were saying, well, if we have to do the same as we did in the past, this is going to become chaos. Because you will have to go individually to each one of them. What's that going to cost? How will anyone still have a control whether it all makes sense? We need to create some right protection mechanism that is more centrally organized than what has happened in the past, and that we can all use in an efficient and a cost-efficient way to help us protect our trademarks. And so the idea of the Trademark Clearinghouse was born a couple of years ago. It took a while before the global community and ICANN then finally were able to set down all of the details on how this clearinghouse was supposed to operate. They found a party to operate this, in this case we as Deloitte, with the help of IBM, because obviously we also needed a technical infrastructure for this. And as a result, yeah, the Trademark Clearinghouse was set up. Now, what does this Trademark Clearinghouse do? Well, it is part of ICANN's right protection mechanism, but it is part more of ICANN's proactive right protection mechanism. There are a couple that ICANN has put in place. You have the Trademark Clearinghouse, you have things like the UDRP, you have things like the URS. I think we would need another webcast to talk about all of them. But anyhow, in this case, the Trademark Clearinghouse is foreseen to be a proactive mechanism. And it consists of two specific mechanisms. First of all, there is this sunrise. I talked about it a couple of minutes ago. In this case, you will not have to go to each individual top-level domain anymore, as you had to do in the past. Right now, you have to submit your trademark to the Trademark Clearinghouse. You will get a specific code, and with that specific code, you can go to all of these top-level domains and have, if you want to, of course, a domain name registered, which is equal to the label that you have registered, which should be equal to the trademark that you have actually registered.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand that, Jan, before you continue.
Yes.
So if, let's say, at the end of this year, 40 top-level domains are coming available, .app, .shop, .buy, all these new top-level domains that are similar to .com, if they're all coming available on one day, my mom, who owns a trademark, who wants to protect it, might have to go to 40 different companies who are operating each of those top-level domains and say, I'm a trademark owner. I'd like to prove it to you so that I can get access to the sunrise period and reserve my trademark in your extension before it's openly available for anybody in the world to go register.
Okay, in order to explain that in more detail, we have to cut it a little bit more in pieces, because you're combining a couple of things. First of all, if you want to register a domain name, like is in the domain name industry, you don't go directly to the company that actually operates a top-level domain. You go to a registrar. You go to a company that sells domain names on behalf of the registries in the world.
Right. So I would go to a company like GoDaddy or Moniker.com to register it.
And so you can go to GoDaddy, most likely, to register with all those 40. So you would have already only to go to one party to register. However, in order to register during the sunrise, you need one code from the Trademark Clearinghouse.
Right. So if there were no Trademark Clearinghouse, I would have to go to the registrar and prove that I prove 40 times or prove once if let's say GoDaddy offered all 40 of those new top-level domains. I would have to prove to GoDaddy that I'm the rightful trademark holder and deserve to register it during the sunrise period, and GoDaddy would be the one to make the assessment? Is that correct or no?
Well, let's say that, yes, in the past, you would have to go through 40 individual procedures to make it happen, because they haven't also all organized it in the same way historically. Right now, the way it's organized is centrally and consistently in the same way for all top-level domains.
Okay.
So you would have to come to the clearinghouse first. We, the clearinghouse, would do the validation. You would get a unique key, and with that unique key, you can go to your registrar and register as many as you want during the sunrise.
So then I would just basically check out and enter my key. The registrar might go to the ICANN Trademark Clearinghouse database that you're running and verify that my name and company match the key,
Yes.
and they will allow me to purchase it. So that seems like
Yes.
a much more, streamlined process for registering
Absolutely.
domains. So,
Yeah.
so handling the sunrise period with a code assigned by the Trademark Clearinghouse is the first purpose of the Trademark Clearinghouse. And you said there was a second issue, second helpful benefit too?
Yeah, that's what they call the so-called claim services. Now, claim services is not something totally new. Organizations in the past have offered this. There is, however, something new in this Trademark Clearinghouse. That is that these claim services work both proactively and retroactively after the registration of a potential domain name. So let me make it simple again.
Okay.
Let's say I want to register Coca-Cola because I think it's a great name, and but I don't have a trademark for it, but I still think I should register it. I go to whatever top-level domain, and I register it, but Coca-Cola is in the clearinghouse. Now suddenly, me as a potential registrant, I get a notification that somebody owns the trademark Coca-Cola, that trademark is registered within the Trademark Clearinghouse, and that I could potentially infringe somebody's rights. Now, from a legal point of view, in certain jurisdictions, that might be very important, because if I want to proceed anyhow, that means that I acknowledge that I'm doing something wrong beforehand. Now, I can still register. If I think I still need to go ahead, I can still do it. Now, if that happens, then Coca-Cola will get a notification that I registered this trademark, and so they will have immediately the knowledge that somebody has done this. Now, what happens then? Well, that's up to them. That's part of what their IP strategy will be, and they could then use the other right protection mechanisms that ICANN has in place to take down that domain name at that
like
moment.
The UDRP or the URS, the Uniform Rapid Suspension of a Domain Name, or the Uniform Dispute Resolution Policy of ICANN to try and get back the domain. Okay, so just so I understand this, Jan, the claim services, basically if I register, or my mom registers her trademark, and then you go to register her trademark in .app, after the sunrise period, so you go to GoDaddy, for example, there's lots of different registrars out there, and I don't mean to keep using GoDaddy an example, but they're a large registrar. You go to GoDaddy to register
names, whatever.
My mom's trademark.app. You'll receive a notice before you actually purchase it on screen, and I have a sample text of what this is. I'm not sure if it's final, but I want to educate people on what this is. It'll say to you, you have received this trademark notice because you have applied for a domain name which matches at least one trademark record submitted to the Trademark Clearinghouse. You may or may not be entitled to register the domain name depending on your intended use and whether it is the same or significantly overlaps with the trademarks listed below. Your rights to register this domain name may or may not be protected as non-commercial use or fair use by the laws of your country. So basically, you're telling them, hey, there's a trademark here. You better do your due diligence before you register it.
Absolutely. And that is new. As far as I know, that is very new in the market. So, and that I think is a very powerful tool too, because it will hopefully frighten certain,
Yeah.
people that
Well,
do not do what they shouldn't do. So,
right, exactly. But it assumes that most people know what trademarks are and that there could be some sort of repercussion, consequence of them registering the domain name.
correct.
And,
Yeah.
and that's a big assumption because most people don't understand those legal issues.
Could be, yes, I think so. But then again, I mean, you can't solve everything with this mechanism only.
Yep.
That's why I think ICANN has a whole set of right protection mechanisms in place. And let's be honest, the UDRP was not that difficult. The URS is going to be even more easy. I think the toolbox that will become in play will be quite sufficient, or will be already very useful for people to or for trademark owners to protect their rights.
Yep.
Yeah, and if there is really something that goes beyond that, well, most likely in that case, you'll probably need a court case to define.
Okay, so if I file a trademark with the clearinghouse, it doesn't prevent others from registering a domain name. I tried to look for an example, Apple Computer. They have the registered trademark for Apple. But it's also a trademark, a registered trademark in the United States for Tangshan Yan'an Shovel Making Company. Go figure. It's just a different industrial class than computer manufacturing. So how will the trademark clearing... So clearly, if Apple and this shovel company don't register the domain for apple.app in the sunrise period, assuming that happens, then anybody can register it when it becomes open for general availability. And I could go register it claiming that I want to use Apple in some entirely different industrial class. And that would be my right. But you're notifying me that, hey, some other trademarks have been filed with the Trademark Clearinghouse that I may be infringing upon. And so I understand how all that works. And that there may be more than one case of people submitting their trademarks to the clearinghouse. So if both the shovel company and Apple Computer submit their trademarks to the Trademark Clearinghouse, who gets the right to register the domain name in the sunrise period?
Okay, so yeah, I thought you were going to ask in general, but I mean, you're taking the first period that we come across, the sunrise period. Yeah, in that case, first of all, if they both have an official registered trademark, yeah, there is no other option. They will both be in the Trademark Clearinghouse, and they could both potentially apply for a domain name. At that moment, the registry's sunrise policy will come in play. And so in that case, and that's not different from in the past, it could be that there is a specific policy because of the fact that it is related to the intention of the top level domain, potentially a .green, and whatever you register during the sunrise has to do with whatever is green in the world. I'm just giving an example.
Sure.
On the other hand, it could be that they say, okay, no, everybody who has a trademark has the right, and we're going to have an auction afterwards. The one who bids the most will get the domain name. So it is actually the registry that will define the policy in the end.
Okay, makes sense.
Moment.
So you need to go to those registries and look at their terms and conditions, or email them if it's that important to figure out how their policy is going to work when the sunrise period opens up.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Correct.
What does a trademark owner need to provide to the clearinghouse in order to prove that they have a registered trademark?
Yeah. So I'm not going to go through all the level of detail of fields that we have. For that, I suggest people to go to trademark-clearinghouse.com, and there is a lot of information on there. But pretty much it comes down to proving who you are, and that you have a registered trademark, and where you have registered that, and for what category you have registered it, and some supporting documentation. I mean, there are two options. Either we can find back your trademark in any of the online databases that are available, or if not, you need to provide us a trademark certificate from that specific jurisdiction. If you want to participate in Sunrise, there is something additional that you have to provide, and that's what we call the proof of use. And also there, I prefer referring to ICANN's website, to our website, to give a level of detail. There is, you need to provide a picture proving that you're actually using this trademark.
Now, most trademark offices require a proof of use in order to get the trademark. Does it seem like it's duplicative? Are you requiring work that's already been done in the past to prove to get the trademark?
Well, it might not always be exactly the same. Um, so it might not be totally the same. And it's not the case for all jurisdictions either.
Okay.
So there are quite a lot where it's not. And obviously, yeah, we wanted to provide a service, and ICANN wanted to provide a service which is consistent across the globe, and which is similar for everybody in the world. So I think the same rules need to apply for everybody. That's why everybody will also have to apply and have to provide all of the information.
Okay.
Yes.
So maybe that leads into my next question. I when I was doing my preliminary research, it seemed that most patent and trademark offices provide free API, automated programming interface. I think that's what the acronym stands for, a computer interface for bulk data downloads. So I was wondering why people need to register their trademarks with whatever office in whatever country they're functioning, but then also register with you. Why couldn't the trademark clearinghouse just go to every single one of those patent and trademark offices and pull down all the trademarks and then just notify people when they're making their registrations, hey, the domain you're registering has a trademark in Japan and the United States and Belgium, and give the warning that way?
Well, I think absolutely. But I think you're discussing the ideal world. I mean, first of all, yes, that would mean for all global trademarks in the world. First of all, yeah, I think I give my personal opinion here. I mean, there is no official answer to this, but
Sure.
I mean, if you think about it, yeah, what do you do then with the countries where it's not the case?
Where there's no
Or,
automatic download, so
yeah,
you're
which is
eliminating those?
yeah, and
Yeah.
those are the emerging markets. The internet was all about also giving the emerging markets equal opportunity. So I think there is a little bit of that. So giving everybody the same opportunity to register. On top of that, I think you still need to give the choice to the trademark owner on whether or not he wants to do this. Perhaps not everybody who has a trademark is interested in having a domain name. I mean, a lot of local trademarks, and then again, differences in jurisdictions. In other jurisdictions, you have automatically protection on your company name and so on. And then thirdly, I think, yeah, I mean, it's easy to say, let's have just a connection with all the trademark offices in the world. But I'd like to see the person that was going to help us negotiate on all of the contracts to do that, all of the legal implications. I mean, in this case, we as the trademark office, yeah, we're also legally responsible for what we do, which is why we ask people to submit, to choose to submit, to acknowledge that they have done this, and so on and so on. So I think there are much more implications if you analyze it than just saying, hey, let's quickly make a connection with a database and everything's solved. It's not that easy.
Sure. Nothing's ever that easy.
No.
And so, as a layman looking at this issue, I can see why you made the choice. Everybody has to register rather than trying to go to every office and connect in. And what if you can't connect in with the office in an emerging nation who doesn't have the money to provide an API? The funds or resources, whatever it is. So then you're eliminating them from being competitive and in the space. But likewise, most of those companies in emerging markets don't have the funds in order to register their trademarks in the trademark clearinghouse either. So aren't you doing because you charge a fee to get into the trademark clearinghouse, aren't you similarly doing something to eliminate those people from being in there if they wanted to protect their marks?
Yeah, of course. That it's not us that have decided this. I mean,
Who did decide that, Jan?
ICANN together with the global community. I mean, there has
Okay.
been almost 2 years in negotiations and ICANN meetings and special committees that have decided upon this. And
Yeah.
let that be clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the fact that there
was the
is a
outcome.
price and the pricing that was set, which I want to ask you about next, was set by ICANN and the global community that participated in setting the structure
The pricing
for it.
was set by us in let's say in communication with ICANN, because obviously, yeah, there is a lot of investment that we have to do to set this up.
Yeah.
There is a lot of work that we still have to do.
Sure.
We have to validate the trademark every year. That was the decision of the global community to do so. There needs to be a lot of security technically that's built around it. All of these unique codes need to be hardware coded, hardware code protected, and so on. I mean, I can continue for a long time.
No, don't get me wrong. I realize that there's a lot of work in doing
a
what
lot
you're
of
doing. My only
requirements,
question is, from my mom, my 80-year-old mom, who's like got a trademark and trying to figure out why she needs to pay money to prevent other people from getting access to it, or pay money to get access to it early. So let me come back to that. So the Trademark Clearinghouse, will it only work for the new top-level domains that are coming out going forward from, today or a couple of months back when the Trademark Clearinghouse went live? Or will it work for .com, .net, .org, and all the other 240 plus top-level domains that are currently out?
Let's say at this moment, the way it's defined, it's only for the new gTLD program.
Okay.
But it is our hope. I think we're talking to ICANN about it. Perhaps in the future, there might be a reason to also use the Trademark Clearinghouse for the other ones. And perhaps there might be a push to do that. At this moment, I can tell you that we need all the time to get up and running what is required at this moment. And then there is definitely... after that, potentially,
because once you have the system in place, I own a trademark in the United States for DomainSherpa, the word, and so if somebody goes and registers DomainSherpa.pl in that country where I can't register it because I need to, let's say I need to be in that country in order to register it, have a mailing address in that country.
Yeah.
If your Trademark Clearinghouse becomes available to the prior CCTLDs or other top-level domains, then if they were to register it on GoDaddy or another registrar, then they might be notified, hey, there's a registered trademark for DomainSherpa in the United States. Be warned. Yeah.
So
okay.
I think definitely, the more we can give value to this Trademark Clearinghouse, the more people in the end will think that it was a good idea to do so. But for that, again, there needs to be some more discussion. I can potentially could think it's a good idea. But we're not there yet. I think everybody's very busy with getting the new gTLD program actually finally started. In our case, to get the Trademark Clearinghouse fully up and running. As you know or may know, we've been asked to develop some additional things because they've asked us now to also allow UDRP cases into the Trademark Clearinghouse, which means that attached to that specific trademark, you can add you can add 50 labels based on UDRP cases or court cases, so that you can actually have already a limited form of variations based on your trademark. That's something new. It was decided a couple of months ago, but we're still implementing it right now. So I think, there is definitely
So
more
I wasn't aware
opportunity.
of that. So let me give an example. I believe that Mike Birkins just posted a summary of a UDRP case where Range Rover, the car company, was trying to get a domain name like Range Rover Excursions or something like that of a company in Australia that offered Range Rover Excursions, and they tried to get that domain name back. And I believe, if I'm correct, the domain owner didn't even respond back to the UDRP and ended up losing the case. So, for example, if Range Rover were to file for a trademark, which they'd be completely entitled to in the Trademark Clearinghouse, and they passed your review process, they'd have it in there. But then also this UDRP case where they lost UDRP for their trademark being used in some other service form would be attached to it automatically? Or is that only on the request of Range Rover?
They have to apply for it again. So first of all, they should have won the case. I mean, if they haven't won the case, then they can't apply for it, of course.
Gotcha.
On the other hand, the other one who does not have a trademark for, I would assume that they would have a trademark for Range Rover Excursions then, and that they would be able to register. I don't think they would have won the UDRP case without having that trademark, I assume. I'm not that much of an expert.
Sure.
For
Neither
that
of us
specific
are.
UDRP case. Not for that specific UDRP case, I mean. So, but I mean, yes, if assume Range Rover would have won it, then they could have attached that label.
Okay,
yes,
so they then pay money to attach that winning UDRP or court case decision to their trademark in the Trademark Clearinghouse.
Yes.
And what's the benefit to Range Rover in doing that?
Well, Mostly, or in a lot of cases, there is more abuse on variations of trademarks than on the trademark itself.
Right.
So you could be, could be of interest to you. And again, it's up to you whether or not you want to do that. I mean, overall,
Oh,
you have
Jan,
to see that with this new changing landscape, companies. Yeah, am I still here?
yeah, you're still
Can you
here.
hear
We
me?
had
Yes?
a slight glitch
A
right there.
little break up.
Please, we're
Yeah.
connected again.
Yeah, okay. So overall, what I wanted to say is that companies will have to redefine their IP strategy or trademark strategy on the internet anyhow. I mean, they have to look at the tools that are available. They have to look at what's coming their way, what top-level domains are actually coming up, when are they coming up. Yeah, it's not as simple anymore as before. They will have to really, evaluate their own strategy.
Yeah, definitely. I'm evaluating my strategy as well. I own 4 different trademarks, and I use domain tools to monitor when domain names are registered in all the different TLDs that they register. And I see domain names being registered in different country codes. And I know it's going to cost me $2,000 to file a UDRP case against that registrant to prove that I'm the owner of the trademark. And I have to decide, do people, is it going to be an operating website? Are they going to try and siphon, traffic off of my brand, off of the value that I've built into the company using a different country code or a different extension? And are they going to use it in bad faith? I need to evaluate all those things, or do I just let it go and hopefully it'll drop in a year or two when they don't want to pay the renewal fees?
It's part of your strategy. I mean, we had for a long time Deloitte.co registered, and it wasn't Deloitte, but there was also nothing on there that could associate the website with Deloitte.
Yeah.
So we let that for quite a while before we took action, actually.
Yeah. So the Trademark Clearinghouse, is it only for registered trademarks, or what if I put an application in for a trademark? Will it work for that too?
Well, again, the whole categorization is also on the website.
Okay.
It is registered trademarks, it's trademarks protected by statute or treaty, and court-validated trademarks. Those are the main 3 categories. The way it's described in detail, again, suggest to ICANN and to our website, you get the full blown legal description of it there.
Okay. But it's registered trademarks. Go read the description on the Trademark Clearinghouse, trademark-clearinghouse.com website.
Yes, correct.
How much does it cost to file a trademark with the Trademark Clearinghouse, roughly?
So that depends on how you come to us. There are 2 ways. You can come directly and register yourself as a trademark owner. Then it'll be 150 for 1 year or 145 for subsequent years. And then, you could go indirectly. And then it will be the cost that you will pay indirectly. It is the case, and it's not a secret, that we have foreseen bigger discounts for our resellers. And the reason for it is, and it's proven already with what we see coming in right now, well, resellers are used to doing this, help their clients in actually making sure that the information is correct. And we also have less work with trademarks that they submit. Right now, with the trademarks that are coming directly from trademark trademark owners, we have on average, I think, 30-40% in mistakes. Now, we have foreseen that we, as a service, recorrect data once, not ourselves. I mean, we let people know if they have submitted something that is wrong, that is stupid, and an address that doesn't make sense, a typo, whatever. And then they are allowed to recorrect it for free once. We have now, in the first few months, on our own, let's say, initiative, done this more than once because we really saw that people were struggling. It is an easy administrative process, but for some reason it still goes wrong sometimes. And so that's where the price difference comes from. And most likely, I don't have the exact prices of our resellers, but it could be that you pay a little more, but you also get a service for it in a lot of cases, and you get a lot of help.
Yeah.
And we see good things being done by them.
Okay. So my company owns 5 trademarks in the United States, registered trademarks in the United States. If I want to go register all 5 of those, I can, hire an attorney. I can go to one of your the partners who get a discount in filing with you, or I can go directly to you and file if I'm, feel like I'm up for it and provide the information. But those 5, if I wanted to register for 3 years of the Trademark Clearinghouse would cost me over $2,000. So, that's a lot of money for a small business owner to pay. The alternative is to do what? What can I do if I'm a small business owner and I don't want to pay $2,000, $2,500 to monitor my trademarks? What's the equivalent, what's the equivalent process that I can follow if I don't want to use the Trademark Clearinghouse?
Well, let's say first of all, in the past, if you then wanted to register your trademarks on a domain name, you probably would have paid much more. You could have paid 10, 20, 30,000 because you had to go each time for a separate validation. Yes, you're paying this now, but you're paying it for all of the ones that will come out. And it could be that this year or next year, depending on how you look at it, there will be 200, 300 coming out, and you will not have to pay 300 times a validation. So
why
is it more money?
The validation takes $10,000 if I want to register, DomainSherpa.app at GoDaddy when it comes out.
No, in the past, if you had to go through the Sunrise procedure each time individually, then you would have to pay a validation each time. Now you only have to pay it once. I still believe that with the service that we deliver, the 100 to 150 that we charge, with the extra correction, the help that we give, the support that we give, is a fair price for the service that you get. You have to pay or correct, but that is because of the new gTLD program too, in a way. I mean, it's the change in the let's say internet that also has caused people to have to take action at this moment. But the change also means opportunity. So it's a knife that cuts on both sides, probably.
It does.
That gives.
So I read on the trademark-clearinghouse.com website that, and I keep saying the domain name over and over again because Trademark Clearinghouse without the hyphen is owned by somebody else, I think a legal firm. So I just want to make that clear, and that's why I keep repeating the URL. You recommend 3 years of monitoring. You don't recommend 1 year. Why do you recommend 3 years to start with?
Well, we actually allow for 5 years too.
Okay.
So
but
it's
I read that you recommended specifically at least 3 years. It could have been in a FAQ, a frequently asked question or something, or I could have read it on another site. So please correct me if I'm mistaken.
I'll have to verify it again.
Okay.
To be honest, Michael, I have to verify it again. We recommend, I'm not sure whether we did. It does make some sense. I mean, especially for resellers. I mean, you only have to submit your information once. And as from then, the next 3 years, you're at ease. We do everything after that. In principle, there is nothing you'll have to do anymore after that. You have your code. Okay, it will be resubmit, but that's it. And I think it gives you peace of mind for a couple of years. It could be that it takes 5 years, and then you could register it for 5 years. But that's already further away. Right now, I think around 40% does register for more than 1 year. That's what we see in practice.
Okay. And if I'm trying to maximize my bang for my buck, does it make sense for me to wait until I know when the first new gTLD is going to be offered and, maybe a month before, then register so I can maximize my year or 3 years?
No, your year only starts to count on the first day of the first sunrise of the new gTLD program. So let's say that's going to be end of October. If you register now, or if you have registered already 2 months ago, you haven't lost a single day. Even more in case of like for the resellers and so on, they have given additional discounts for being early. We have a SLA of 20 days. We have been able at this moment to be much faster. A lot of the trademarks, especially in the last 2 months, have been validated within 1 day or even 2 days. But obviously, let's say, 20 days beforehand, if everybody suddenly starts submitting, we can't guarantee. So you do have to calculate the 20 days to be 100% sure.
Okay, makes sense. And if I go to the trademark-clearinghouse.com/agents page, I can see a list of agents that includes Melbourne IT, 101 Domain, Gandhi.net, as well as a bunch of legal firms, the people who can submit trademark applications into the clearinghouse. Am I understanding that correctly?
Well, I assume if they operate, they need to operate as an agent. They will have to operate as any other agent. I mean, if you go directly, all of the information need to be sent directly to you, and we verify that actually. And in some cases, if we have doubts, we might even call you up to make sure that we're certain. And we had cases where people allowed their representative to do it in their name, and yeah, we can't do that.
Okay. So Jan, we were just technically cut off. We lost your picture, so we're going to overlay your still image on your side of the video for now, and maybe it'll come back in. But from what you were saying, people can either submit their trademarks themselves using your process, or they can use an agent that's listed on your website. Those agents have bulk discounts, and maybe they're going to provide some of that bulk discount to the end users, but they're providing services to help you get your trademark into the database more efficiently and effectively.
Yeah.
And then the third option is to just use a third party, their own IP attorney, whomever, to submit their trademarks in, and there will be no discount on the application fee.
No, but I mean, you have to see, and that's what some of them try to do. Yeah, we cannot send that information to that person. I mean, there are different terms and conditions for, let's say, for those official agents. So if you do that, yeah, we will have to send everything to you. Yeah, if you share your username and password with somebody else, I can't prevent that, of course.
Yeah, sure.
Overall, we do see that the success ratio with the, let's say, our agents is much higher than with some of the people that come directly.
Okay. I've heard that there's a limitation to the number of trademarks that can be recorded through the Trademark Clearinghouse through a payment on a single credit card. Is that true?
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. And there are some specific reasons why we did that. I'll have to look up again exactly, but it had to do with certain costs that we had, and to make sure that because the credit card payments can also be revoked and so on. So we don't want to have it that it happens for a whole bunch and then suddenly it's not the case.
Sure.
And the sunrise is ongoing already. If credit card companies would tell us that within 24 hours, that would be great. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why we did that. Yeah.
Got it. And I think we discussed it earlier in the interview, Jan. If I file a trademark today with the clearinghouse, how long does the process take once I submit everything to you?
Well, right now, I think we have a turnover rate currently for some trademarks, 24, 48 hours, less than a week. Officially, we have 20 days to do it. So that's what our SLA requires.
Okay, makes sense. And the Trademark Clearinghouse is operational right now. People can watch this show and then go to trademark-clearinghouse.com and process their own trademark. Is that correct?
We are operational since April to submit, since March to submit your trademarks. And the actual claim services and sunrise services are going to become available over, I think, somewhere September, beginning October at the latest. So I think somewhere in beginning of September, people will also get their, what they call SMD file, the public key that they're getting to actually record trademarks or domain names. One of the things that you also see in the industry is that certain organizations like Donuts will allow people to actually block domain names in a very cost-efficient way if they can prove that they have an SMD file from the Trademark Clearinghouse. So that's something that I didn't mention. It's not under the initiative of the Trademark Clearinghouse. It's a private initiative in this case, but it obviously already gives additional value in being in the Trademark Clearinghouse. And it gives also an easy protection because, as you know, Donuts is been very successful in obtaining TLDs, and they'll have quite a lot of them.
Right. So the last general top-level domain that came out was .xxx, which was an adult top-level domain. And they did something similar where if you had a trademark, you could block other people from registering that trademark .xxx. And so you're
Correct.
saying that something similar will happen with at least Donuts as a registry and maybe other registries and domain top-level domains as well in the future.
Yeah, I think so, yes, absolutely.
Okay. So if, let's say, the first top-level domain comes out in September, becomes open for sunrise period, and I assume that most people are going to submit their trademarks right up until that point. They're going to learn that through regular media, the public media, that a new top-level domain is going to become available, and they're going to learn about the process. Maybe they'll find this video. Maybe they'll want to go register. You're going to get backlogged the closer we get to September. If it's going to take you 20 days to review it, they pretty much need to get their application in right now. Otherwise, they'll lose their sunrise benefits for the first TLDs to come out. Is that could be the case?
That could be the case. If you're late, then yeah, you can't participate. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so the sooner they get it in, the better.
Yeah. And the moment we have information about sunrises, and I can obviously too, we're going to try to notify our clients about what is coming their way so that they know. But that is absolutely the case. You're correct.
Okay. And then the process that trademark owners can follow if they are stuck in that case is to then go directly to the registrar and prove that they have a trademark and try and get access to the sunrise period directly rather than going through the trademark clearinghouse.
No, they're not allowed.
They're not allowed?
No, ICANN policy requires that they have to go through the trademark clearinghouse during the first sunrise that is set up with the registries. Yeah.
So for all new general top-level domains coming out,
correct.
Individual trademark holders like myself, I can't say, forget the trademark clearinghouse. There's only two top-level domains that I really care about. I'm just going to go directly to the registrar and prove that I want access to the sunrise period. I'm the rightful trademark holder, and I want access. I have to go through the trademark clearinghouse.
Yeah. There is currently still some discussion ongoing around certain types of top-level domains where they say, well, does it make sense to do this, yes or no? But either way, a trademark record from the clearinghouse would always be getting priority.
Okay. All right. So then if I decide not to pay the, $2,500 for sunrise period access, and I take my chances and a domain name does get registered either in the sunrise or in the regular normal registration process to the general public, my only alternative then is to file a UDRP, a URS, or a court action to try and get the domain name back if I decide that's what I want to do.
Yeah, if somebody else has, I think so, yes. So, I mean, it could be that some of the registries will be operating subsequent sunrise procedures. To be honest, I don't know all of the sunrise policies of all of the new TLDs that are coming up. But at least there should be the first sunrise should be for records in the trademark clearinghouse. That's for
sure. You're saying there might be more than one sunrise period?
There might be. I mean, with XXX, for instance, there were also different ones. With .eu at the time, there are also different ones where they have some kind of a cascade system where they prioritize first real trademarks, then company names, then whatever rights that there could be. That all depends on the sunrise policies that the registries have set up. Yeah.
Wow. All right. So that's a lot to manage for small businesses.
Yes. Yeah, but then on the other hand, I mean, small businesses might also not operate on a global level. They might be operating more, and they might more be interested in now what's coming up. For instance, here in Belgium, we have a top-level domain coming up for Brussels, for Flanders, for Ghent. Well, it could be that small businesses say, well, now that we have a top-level domain, which is clearly identified by where we operate, we're only active in Brussels, for instance. Well, I don't need .com or .net or whatever anymore. Let anyone else do on there because my clients know that I'm in Brussels and they will go and look for Brussels. Could be. I think the internet will change. I don't think we know all how it's going to change, but I think the only assurance we have is that it will change.
Yep, good advice. The only thing that you can rely on are death, taxes, and changes to the internet. If you have additional questions for Jan, please post them in the comments below this video, and we'll ask Jan to come back and answer as many as he can. Jan Corstens, partner at Deloitte, thank you for coming on the show, sharing your knowledge about the ICANN Trademark Clearinghouse, and thanks for being a Domain Sherpa.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.